Hey everybody, it's Thursday. Thanks. As you can notice in the background, I'm not in my normal studio. I'm up in Duluth, Minnesota, and today we're celebrating a little fun things up here in Duluth. Let's see what we got going here. First thing I'm going to tell you this about this wonderful beer I just had. This is going to be the Triplet Carmelet. We were just celebrating, and I'm right back here from the Rainier family. We were just celebrating a little bit something. So cheers, everybody! Cheers, cheers, cheers! It's coming a little bit late here in about. Mm. And even I got the Triplet glass. It's a beer from Belgium. So here we go. And so tonight we're going to be doing the tortoise, and I know it's a little bit different doing something like a tortoise. And again, we're going to try to show you how to paint the watercolor with, let me show you the value study here. I'm going right into the value study. Now the value study, if you look, there's not much color in a turtle, but we're going to add a little bit of color into this turtle. And it's going to be kind of fun. I know a lot of people are thinking, to do a turtle like this and to make it a painting, it's going to be fun because we're not going to copy the picture again. We're going to put a bunch of nice colors in there. And so let's see who's here today. So today we have Lillian, Pamela, Sue, Joyce, Becky. And so I didn't do one this morning like I normally do. I do one in the afternoon a lot of times when I'm back in Illinois. But being up here, I just got my second shot yesterday, and actually I'm feeling fine. So I got the vaccine yesterday, so we're all good here. And so let me just go and just show you for all you newcomers, if you want to see hold on one second here. A little bit different setup here I have, so it's going to take a little bit different here. But here's my supplies for all you newcomers. And there's the supplies I use, the Holbein paints, the brushes from Holbein. And this one I hand drew, and so I didn't use any transfer paper, and I didn't use any masking fluid like up there. And I am using the Stonehenge aqua paper too. And let me see where everybody's from this time. A lot of times you guys put where you're from, so thanks a lot for putting that in there. So Lillian's from Crete, Illinois. We have Pamela. What is the difference between a turtle and a tortoise? I'm not sure. We'll have to ask one of the Holbein ladies, Jamie Lou. She has a turtle. I'll have to ask her that from Holbein. She's up in the Canadian Holbein division. I have to ask Jamie Lou what she thinks about the difference between a turtle and a tortoise. All right, let's see. Joyce is from Illinois. I know that. Becky from Tennessee. All right. And we got Lynn. Hi, David. Hey, Lynn. All right, so let's go right to our value study again. Let me just show you a few things. So when anytime we start doing a painting, always remember, look for the light and dark, black and white basically, see where your values go. And so if you look over here on the turtle's head, the top part is light, so there's a little bit of light in the background. I'm gonna get rid of that a little bit so that I can then get the bottom part to pop forward. The center of interest is pretty much this whole area. This whole area is the center of interest. His head and his arms and all that kind of thing is all the center of interest. And so when it comes to the colors, you can see the color version. This is the color version. It's not that much different from a black and white because there's not much color in the turtle. But let's make it a little bit of fun. Let's put a little fun into this and make the background kind of fun and colorful. And so what I'll do in the background here is I'll think to myself, what am I going to use for a color scheme? And the color scheme I'm thinking is going to be, since the turtle is kind of gray and kind of brownish, I'm going to go more with the orange and the purples and maybe some yellow, and so we'll see. We'll go in that direction. I kind of figure out tortoise is the land animal. And oh, okay. So tortoise is a land animal, and is the turtle more in the water? Thanks, Tina. All right, so let's see. Let me go to my website real quick just to show you that a couple people had asked me again today about where to get all of everything. Here on my website at BeckerArt.net is everything you need to know. Everything about the paint-alongs, and here's where I give you all the pictures. Now this is the picture right here, and I've got the last 2 weeks, so you can get those still. And I just thought I'd put them up there, and when they go away, you can still get the picture on the video. So if you go to the video, you can always go back and get the video too, or the photograph from the picture. All right, let's get going here so we can get this little turtle, or tortoise, I should say, right? It's a tortoise, so we get the tortoise done. And the lighting isn't the greatest here that I set up. I didn't have my whole big system, but hopefully it'll be good enough for what we're doing today. So we're gonna start out with the lights, like we always do, lights to dark. Now this one, we don't have to worry so much. It's almost like a still life where you can work back to the front. And if you wait 1 second, I have to get, I just realized I don't have any paper towel with me, and I don't have my usual cloth down on the table, which I always like to have. So give me 1 second, I'm gonna get a paper towel here. Hold on. All right, we're gonna have to edit that out. All right, here we have some paper towel, and so we're this paper towel here. Okay, so we're gonna start out, and actually I kind of like this shadow as a blue shadow. Look at it, if I go like this, I'm getting a blue shadow on there, so I can kind of see. So I'll make it maybe a cool background. I'll make a cool background and a warm foreground. All right, so, but again, let's start out with the lights first. And so what we're gonna do is kind of go in. Oh man, it's really. Let me go to the side over here so I can work from the side a little bit. Going with the orange, and I'm not going to wet the whole surface because I may want to have a few hard edges in here. And so we're going to keep it dry, the paper, because again, when you want dry paper, that's when you want a hard edge, right? And you're going to kind of go in here, and the light on top of his head, I'm using an orange, a brilliant orange. And this is the background. I'm just the floor itself. And just kind of getting in there and getting the color schemes going. A little bit of purple, lavender. Of course, you know my lavender, how much I love the lavender. A lot of people are actually starting to use that. I noticed a lot of famous artists are using the lavender a lot. I've noticed that I've watched a bunch of people who have been doing demonstrations, pretty good artists, and they're all using that lavender. Holbein lavender is a really nice color if you want to look into that. Again, see how I'm just taking the colors and I'm kind of putting them in here and there. And I'm just kind of going in here to the background. Always remember the lights, and I'm just basically, I'm not drawing anything in per se. I'm not doing like the head exactly. I'm just doing the light areas so that when I come back in with the darks, those will be done. The light areas will have the color that they need. And it's also a good time to sit there. If you need white of the paper, just leave it white. This ground can have some white, and even in a photograph, there are some parts that are really, really light, so just leave them light. Here I'm putting a little bit of the orange, and basically I'm trying to use the purple and orange a lot. It seems like I'm trying to do that a lot here. Uh-oh, we're getting a little reflection. So let me put something underneath here real quick. And also, as we're celebrating this afternoon, we also have a nice pretzel here. So I'm going to be the Belgian beer and the pretzel. So cheers, everybody. Cheers. It's a special night for celebrating. So we got a good beer and a great Belgian beer and some pretzels, some German pretzels, Bavarian pretzels, I think they're called. All right, so where's my brush go? Okay, here we go. So we're gonna come in here. All righty. A little bit of orange in the back. Now I'm gonna make this cool, and so I'm gonna make the dark part is gonna be the cool part. So it doesn't matter what I put in with the light because the cool will go right over it. And this is not even a dark cool yet. This is a light cool, but I'm just gonna put a little bit of that in there just so that it's not too bright orange there. This is gonna be darker. I'm gonna bring that right into the tortoise, the light part of the tortoise. I guess I should have checked that out beforehand and know the difference between a turtle and a tortoise. I thought they were the same thing. So once somebody asked that, I had no idea. So I go down this way. Oh, again, if anybody has questions, please put them out there, and I'll look at it every once in a while. I have my screen in front of me. I can see what I've got going there. And this is the light part on the top of the arm is light. So let's put a little bit of light and colorful. If you're not going light, then at least go colorful, you know, because that will come forward, you know. And so it's like this is coming a little bit farther forward. And again, I've got to put something underneath there. So hold on, I'm going to put this underneath here so it doesn't reflect. There we we go. There, now you won't reflect it. And so here we go, a little bit of the orange. Let's put some little bit brighter colors in there too. You know, I've gotten these kind of like really, they're not that great vibrant of colors, so don't be afraid of some nice vibrant colors too. Just let them bleed, and these are all lights, but these are just being covered up later with my darks. So again, I'm just kind of suggesting these colors right now so that I get it colorful. I can kind of, I'm going in there and trying to figure out my color scheme, basically, which is going to be orange blue. Orange blue is because it's like right now I'm using orange and yellow, and so purple and yellow, orange and blue basically are going to be the color scheme. And when I'm saying that, it also doesn't mean that they have to be exactly bright orange or bright yellow. It can be in that field. It could be a reddish orange. It could be a reddish yellow. Well, reddish yellow is actually orange. And so you can make it pretty much anything. Again, the light colors come first. The light always comes first. I know there's some people out there that say, well, they put a dark in there right away to kind of figure out what your darkest dark is going to be, and that's fine. You can do that too, but I kind of like to just go in there and get my lights, and then I go with the darks right afterwards. And let's get a little bit cooler back here, because this is the background, and even though this is all light back here, you can put a color there too. Paper towel. Yeah, I forgot my as coming up here, I forgot my big paper towel, or my big towel that I usually use. I use white towels underneath everything, so I can just dab anywhere. I find it to be the most easy way of saving paper towel, and it's nice because I like going and just tapping anywhere I want with the paintbrush. Hey Millie from Tennessee. Hey Sonia. Hey Ginny. Hey Mark. Hey Linda. Hey Carol. Thanks again for dropping by. And so again, these are my lights. And I'm spending a little bit more time on lights because this is not so much like a landscape. A landscape, you're going from background, middle ground, foreground, and you're kind of getting light to dark. And here, we're pretty. This is almost like a still life where my background is gonna be dark, so I can't do that now because that's the later part that, like I always say, light to dark. So that's one reason, it's not like a landscape. It's more about the big areas of light and dark that you're just putting in here. You're just suggesting certain colors so that you can kind of have that color and see how bright that one was now. Well, since I have it there, let's put it somewhere else just right away. And again, these are not my darks, just remember. I know I'm talking about that a lot tonight, about the lights and darks, but that's all they have here. And the colors I'm making up. So you make up the colors, and the tortoise will still look like a tortoise, even though I'm giving him like bright orange here and stuff like that. You'll watch when I go with the darks will have a little bit more of the color that you see up there. But the lights will be underneath it, and so it'll all look great. And don't be afraid of leaving the whites of the paper. I mean, we have to leave the white of paper once in a while, just because that's your white. And if there's a white in your picture, then you just keep it of the paper. Hey, Pamela. You're asking if I'm painting wet into dry? Yes, I didn't wet the paper all out because I don't need many soft edges. And when I do finally get the paper wet here, then with the color, then I can go and manipulate that a little bit. But now I'm going to actually head right into the darks because there's nothing left that's light that I find that is going to be light. And so let's go right in my darks. And so with that, I'm going to go with my other brush. I'm going to take a little bit of pretzel. This pretzel is awesome. This is homemade pretzels that we just made. So, and cheers, by the way, everybody. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Carmelette today. The triple Carmelette. All right. And let me take my round brush for this. That's good. When you're drawing, it's best to do it with a nice round brush. Uh-oh, did I move this over? Sorry about that. Let's open this up a little bit here to make it a little bit bigger. So you can see the pictures that I'm doing. So here we go with the darks. So I'm going to go into this area. These are my browns and reds over here, and I go over this area. It's more my blues. And I'm sorry that it is my studio because I'm not at my studio this week. I'm up in Duluth, Minnesota, and it's the only place I can get a shot is up in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. That's where I got my shot yesterday. Illinois was a little bit behind on that, and so I want to start doing some of these workshops live again. I like to see you guys live, and so get your shots so we can start doing these live. So here we go, getting in with my darks, and here I used a nice vibrant blue and a nice purple. This is my Prussian blue, my violet, and I'm just going to go in there pretty dark, and I'm going to make it more into the cool so that when the head is warm, it's going to stick out really a lot. And so, and then right here where it's hitting a shadow, I want to keep it a little bit warmer there because it's like the shadow will be. If you want to scumble it across, you take the side of your brush and just kind of go across it so you can get some texture. Because this paper is cold pressed, so I'm picking up a little bit of texture there. And so put a little bit of orange in that. Because once it's wet, you can drop color in. Remember what I do. I always kind of drop in color after I wet it, because then it becomes wet in the wet, right? And so I'm going around his head really a lot carefully because I want that to look like the turtle, like what I drew. And see how I floated in there? I'm not sure if you can see how I floated it in. See that blue? It's pretty dark blue, and then you got some red, some warm orange. I'm gonna put a little bit of orange up there. Kind of coming down this way. And then I dip into some water. Again, trying to go for the blues. These three are blue. This is Prussian blue. We've got ultramarine blue, and we got peacock blue. And if I do them in all of them, it'll just mix up to be a dark blue. And so it's kind of fun to do it that way because then you can get a little bit of everything come in there. And I know in the picture, if you look at the picture right in this area, it's kind of light. It lights up so that what I can do is I can just put down the darks first, get right to the edge, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out some of that. I'll just take a little bit of that out, and then maybe put some color that's next to that. Just drip it in, because once it's wet, again, you can float colors. Once it's wet, you can go back in and manipulate things. It's all about manipulating what you had put down. And this got a little bit dark here, so I'm going to do is pull a little bit of that out too. And then you get a little bit of texture. I'm going to take the side of my brush and just go across it evenly, like with just the side of the brush, because then you get texture. It's all about when the water or the paper is wet and you're letting things float. And this is dry, this area here. So by going across it quickly with a dry brush, you're going to get a little bit more of a texture. And since this is probably dirt or what he's in, or sand or whatever, that's great. You can bring it down here to put a little bit of dirt and just kind of tap your brush. My brush is not loaded with too much paint. It's just to get a little texture in there. And so now we're going to go, and I'm kind of working from back to front, even though I'm not doing it like a landscape, but the background now is on top, and so I'm going to go work my way down. Let's do the shell. Let's have some fun with this shell. And there's a lot of texture in his shell too, like little ridges and stuff, and I won't get that yet. Look at that. Boy, here we go. So I won't get that right away, the texture. I'll wait for that in a second, like with the lines in his shell, because there's kind of like these lines that I have drawn in there. So I'll put those in as I make it darker. And I'll float some other colors in there too. Boy, look at that. Sorry about that. Again, when I'm going into a new studio here, it's kind of tough to know with the lighting how it's going to affect the picture. But here we go. We're just going to put this in there. All right, so that's a little bit darker. I know the picture is really dark, and so we can get there, but go slowly. You don't have, I mean, but when I get that done, I'm done, and this whole shell will be done. And that's pretty fast, so you don't, it's not like you have to do a lot of things in this area. And the whole painting is pretty much the tortoise, and then when you get him done, he's pretty much done. The whole painting is done, so it's gonna be a lot faster to do something like this. It's like than a landscape, because landscape has so many things to it. And here, I mean, when you get into the face, it'll be a little bit more difficult, the details and stuff. But this was kind of a fun. I always love doing like animals and stuff. Animals are fun to do. Drawing, remember, drawing is very important in this. Make sure you get a drawing right. If you got to trace it, trace it. Trace the tortoise out. and get them looking really good in the drawing. And because like you can see the painting then will be pretty simple because you just put down whatever the values is, to make sure you get the right values. And if your drawing is right, it will look like a turtle. I guarantee it will look like a turtle if you make sure that you get a drawing right. And no matter what you do with the values and with the color, it's still gonna look like a turtle. That's what you gotta realize too, is when you're painting stuff, if that drawing is really good, and no matter what you do on top of that drawing, you know, even if you make some couple mistakes with the values and stuff, it's still gonna look like whatever you're painting. Our minds are well enough to know what that item is if it's drawn right. So drawing, number one importance, get that drawing right. Here I'm just going in, I'm looking at the picture and I'm getting the values that I see in there. And then once it's wet, I can throw color in there. And let's get some little bit more vibrant colors because I don't have any vibrant colors in there. So let's just float some in there. A little bit of color. And I get warm it up a little bit so that it doesn't seem so, you know, blue like the background. Use any color you want. You know, use your imagination when it comes to this. It's still gonna look like a turtle, like I say. He's still gonna look like a turtle, and he's not gonna look like a red turtle. It just look like there's, if you made him red, it would look like there's some kind of lighting that's making him red. Because most people realize that a turtle is not red, but you can use any color you want. And again, because the lighting may be red, maybe warm or something, a warm like evening light or something. So it all suggests what the drawing is, and then the color will suggest the lighting or the actual object. But here I don't want to make them just gray because that doesn't look as nice as if I could get some color in this turtle. Here I'm putting a little red in there. And this is not yet the detail. I'm still going for the big lights and darks yet. It kind of comes around here. Let me see. I should see if there's any questions. Hey Sarita. Hey Maura. Thanks for dropping by. Let's see, holding it different ways so that you can see, so it doesn't reflect the light. So now we're going here, and we'll get this darker. And I can still go darker in these areas where I want the particular lines going there, but for these other big parts, just go for the big main light and dark. So on the top of this leg, it looks like it's a little bit dark, and so you're identifying the shape of that leg up there. But in there, it's really dark. But I first wet it with anything, just any color you want, just wet it, go ahead and wet it. And then where the dark parts are, take thick pigment, and you can take any color thick pigment, whatever you want, and then just go in there and make it dark. And here I'm going right around. I noticed that on the edge of his leg and his claws, it looks like he's got some claws here. I'm just gonna kind of suggest them by negative painting them. That's what's negative painting, is when you paint around an object to create the object. Oh, I almost put my brush on my pretzel to clean it. Don't do that. So here we go. We're going to go over here and kind of, let's see, it goes down. I'm looking at the difference. I guess that the lighting goes all the way down to here. So I'll bring it down, I'll put a little purple in there, some lavender. Lavender is always a great gray to sit there for shadowing. Putting that right down there. If you don't have some lavender, get yourself some lavender right now. You know, not actually right now at this minute, but get yourself some lavender from Holbein. It is probably one of the best colors I have on my palette. That really, you can use, put it in any color, and it really works out well. And I put a little bit of purplish dark in here. Coming around this side, bottom of his chin, and then this leg. I'm leaving his face alone yet because it's a little bit more detailed in there, so I'm kind of sticking with the legs and the whole big areas, and this big shadow will be done next. So I'm just kind of going in there, and you notice how I'm just laying down water with any color, and then I come back here and I pick up different colors to put in there, drop it in and let it float. You guys have been doing really great with that. I've been watching a lot of you who post on my Facebook page, the group page, and it's really, I'm very impressed with how you guys are doing. You guys have really picked up the float your pigment thing, and so I'm very happy with that. Very, very happy that you guys are floating your pigment and doing a great job with it. Some of you with the Homer picture that you guys did last week, simply amazing. I just was floored with how well you guys did. The colors that you used that were not like his, that was just amazing. You know, just really, really nice. So let's do the big shadow part here now. I mean, this whole leg is in the shadow, so let's put this in the shadow too at first. And so let me just get the shadow here all the way around. And I'm wetting it with whatever color I have in my brush at the time. See, I'll put that in there like this. And then I will float the color right on top of that. And since I want it a little bit warmer, I'll float it a little bit warmer here. And then if I want texture for the ground, and I just go across with my brush sideways like this. Let's see if I can put it this way again, so they can see. See if I push the side of my brush, if I go like this on the side, then it gives you texture. I'm just kind of scrubbing it across there. I'm just going here with a dark. Kind of putting the. You can't see that leg yet because I have not identified that leg. Right now I'm worrying about the shadowing. I'm doing the shadow, and then the front of his leg here is really very important because it comes forward. So that's a hard edge, and that's the reason I haven't wet everything this time. Like normally, I notice I always do big areas and I wet the whole surface. But this one I'm not doing that so much because I want to get a lot of the turtle hard edged. And so if I wet the paper all, then I'm in trouble. So then I can't get it to be, I can't get the hard edges. Here I'm just going to float this in here, put some of this area over here is kind of just a little bit lighter. And so I can get some soft edges after I get my hard edge, then I can go in and get any areas that I want soft edge by just going across it with a little bit of water. Let's see if I can't get this reflection off of there. There we go. And so you can see the legs in there, and I may lose some of your drawing because you can't see it after you put like some of the color over it, but that's okay. We can, if you can't do it afterwards, then let it dry and redraw it a little bit. And just redraw the area if you don't feel like you know what is in that area. So there's my shadow. Shadow color is on this thing. Since everything that's in the light is white, then whatever here, it'll be shadow. It will look like a shadow, just doesn't, you can use any color you want. That's the only color when the surface is white on a surface, then you can use any color for the shadow. If you're using, let's say the surface was a blue, like a dark blue shadow or a blue surface, then you just make it a darker blue. If the surface was red, you make it a darker red. But white is the only one you can make any color you want for the shadowing. Let's do his head right away since I have to wait for this to dry to get the legs. And so let's just go right into his head. And let's see, let's make this colorful because this is the part I want people to look at. So I'll start out here with his mouth here. And I kind of want to come down this way, and I'm going to wet it as I go along, keeping it dark. Keeping it light at first, and then just get darker as I go along. There's reflected light underneath his chin there, so I might as well put that in there too. Put in a little bit of gold. How about a little bit of quinacridone gold? A little bit of gold in there. I know a lot of you are thinking, well, this tortoise is, gray. They're gray and they're just, grayish, brownish colors and stuff. But you can still with this violet, it'll look gray, but there's just colors reflecting into the grays. That's one thing, you can reflect colors into grays, and it can be warm and cool. And so gray is a wonderful color to use, but it doesn't mean it just has to be black and white. You're not doing a black and white picture, though you could also do that. If you felt like you just want to do this whole scene in black and white, you can do that and just maybe add one other color like red or something. I'm probably going to do one of those coming up, I think, too, where we're just doing use 3 colors. And also, I would like you guys to keep on giving me suggestions of what you like to learn and what you like to paint, because I'm running out of ideas. No, I'm not running out of ideas, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys want to have painted and what you're having troubles with or anything. That's what I'm here for, to teach you guys how to do different type of things. That's one of the problems, I guess, with my paintings is that I don't paint just one thing. I paint a little bit of everything. And when it comes to like in the gallery or being noticed for a certain type of painting, that's kind of a bad thing, because then when some people, their paintings because of what they paint, but if you paint everything, it's not about what you paint, it's about how you paint it, I guess, then. And so we're coming over here and those wrinkles, and I'm not getting the big ring or the little wrinkles yet. I'm just getting the big areas of light and dark. Looking for like the big lights and darks first, and then once it's dry, then you can go get all those little things going on in there. Let's see if I can't get rid of that. See, it's shining. There we go. Sue wants a still life. Yeah, I would love it. A still life is a good thing. This is kind of like a still life, but setting up a still life would be kind of fun. And the still lifes can be anything. That's the only thing. What kind of still life do you want? One with fruit, flowers, toy trucks. That's amazing. It's amazing what you can do with the still lifes. You can do all kinds of things. Screwdrivers. I've seen those people that do those paintings for the awards where they have like a bunch of screwdrivers laying there. So there's all kinds of things you can do when it comes to still lifes. I'll just have to think of what exactly we want to learn. So let me know in your still life what you want in your still life, Sue. Just let me know. So here we're going around here. See how I'm getting my darks? Look at all those colors in there. It's purple, there's orange, red, yellow, gold. Again, you guys are doing a good job with that, so I'm not going to say too much about that because you guys are doing a wonderful job with that. I'm glad you're putting it down with the water and then piling your pigment into it. So for all you newcomers, if there's anybody new here, just remember, I put down the water first with a little bit of paint, and then I come in with the paint, the colors I want afterwards, and let them float. I'm all about floating your pigment. If you've ever been my student in my classes, and hopefully we'll get these workshops going again, that I teach a lot about floating your pigment and how to use the pigment correctly. Because that is basically the way to use it correctly, is floating it. And that's also how you get soft edges, by wetting it, and then you get your soft edges. And you let the watercolor do a lot for itself. You're letting the watercolor just do its own work, and that's what you want to do. It's so fresh that way. So see how you're just going to come in here, and I can just put a little bit of violet in there. I can scumble it across. Like now it's dry here again, so I can get some little hard edges and make it look a little bit more textured. That's another thing. If you want texture, you can get texture a little bit better of the paper by keeping it dry and real lightly going across the page with your brush, real lightly, just scumbling across the page to get the look. All right, so now this arm right here, we'll get this arm going. And again, this top part in the photograph is kind of bluish. I'm going to keep it warm and even light like that. And as I go down here, I'm going to make it not as quite as dark as here. And actually, let me just put a little bit darker part right here, just so that stands like it's really a little crevice there. Anytime you want to show a little crevice in something, just put a little dark. I like to have a soft edge on the one side and then a hard edge on the other side. So now we're going to come over here and get his leg. So the top part I'm going to make hard edged, and as I come down I'm going to let it go right and bleed right into this part I just did, so that'd be soft edge, so that's okay. Again, and then if you look at the photograph, aren't those legs great? They have these little like the Thing Man, or the it's just like the Hulk. No, not the Hulk. What's that? The stone guy. Oh boy, the Thing, I think, or something like that. You can tell I'm not very much into comic books. And so here we go with a little bit of warmth. We gotta throw a little red in there. All right, your root beer river scene photo. Oh, yeah, I was been taking some shots here in Duluth, and I just took a shot of a waterfall that had a little root beer look, and oh yeah, that'd be a great one. I'd love to do that one. Let's see, Tuesday has become my surprise day to see what you are doing for the week ahead. Yeah, I never know. It's like, and actually it's about Sunday night when I figure out what I'm going to be doing, or sometimes even Monday night I figure out what we're painting. So it's nice to know a little bit before then. Though this one I had gotten done a little bit way before because I was knowing I was going to be coming up here to Duluth, Minnesota, that I needed to get things done. So I picked a turtle like last week, right, almost like in the middle of the week. So here we go with his little round little God, his legs are so cool looking. I love it. They're like little pebbles on this thing, and so I'm gonna let this dry, and I'll go in there and get more of the roundness to them, because you're gonna be doing the line inside, almost like the little crevices in there. You'll do that, and I can do a few of them now while it's wet, because it'll be hard to be soft edged. I mean, so I get a little of those, and especially where they turn into the light area. Just do that. All right, so we get that pretty much. Now these legs over here, it's also dark on the bottom, but it's coming in, the legs coming into the shell, because this is the bottom of the shell here. And I can keep this soft edge over here because it's behind, and so I don't want to give it too much attention, this leg over here, because I'd rather keep it where it's low key. That way it will stand back, because it is behind the head, and so I'll keep everything not contrasty. Anytime you want something to go back into the background, don't make it contrasty. Keep it low key, and no matter what is in the photograph, you have to think like an artist. You cannot just copy that photograph. Think your painting through. Try to figure out a way of making it look like a certain thing. Like when it has to, this leg has to start look like it's farther back. So how do you do that? You overlap something in front of it, make it not so contrasty. You give it grayer colors. You know, things, all those things like that are making it look back, stand back. Of course, the overlapping is probably the most obvious. The head overlaps it, and so that's the most obvious. And it's a good way of doing it. Overlapping is a great way. All right, and even though I don't see a lot of this, and it's almost like you don't see the bottom of the leg, it's almost like out of focus. That's another way of doing it. Makes things that are out of focus are definitely farther in the background. And then of course when I get into his head here, I'm going to do a little bit more detail in there. So it's going to pop out even more when I get detail in there, which I'll do right now. Here, I'm going to put a few more details in here. Like of course the skin on his neck is really, you know, a lot of wrinkles in it. And so you're going to do that. Oh, you can't see that again. Here, see the wrinkles. So like that. And this leg here, I can put one little, so the crevices. Remember I talked about the crevice thing before? So here, I'm just going to put a little bit right here for the crevice, right where the leg meets the ground. That's like a little crevice, a little area that I can make really dark. I call these dark highlights because it's just a little bit of dark in there, just enough to make it so it looks like this is the ground and that's the leg. I think that's the leg right there. Yep, it is. And what else we gotta go here? We gotta do a little bit of this, a little bit darker underneath here too, maybe a little bit of texture too, to bring him forward by making this a little bit darker. And then, and that's almost, I think I just used Prussian blue, and I dipped into a little bit of black, and again I gave a little texture to that. And now let's go with that was the first two brushes we used, and first we gotta say cheers again for the Carmelette. Cheers, everybody. Becky would like to do some waves. Yes, Becky, I will be doing waves. I'm still studying them up a little bit. But yeah, when I was in Florida a couple weeks ago, I had done a big study on waves, and so I'm just I'm actually looking for a really good photo of waves that where you can then take it and learn a lot from that photo. So sometimes it's hard too. If you have a photo you wouldn't mind sharing with all of us, I don't mind that either. But I'm very picky when it comes to the photographs, so I may say no. So don't be offended if you want to donate a painting for all of us to do, or a photograph for all of us to do, and I say I'm going to find something like it, because I'm trying to get really good photographs, so it makes it easier on you to paint it. Because a lot of times painting or the photograph has to be good, because you guys are not changing things to a T, you know, or I a lot of times change things when I'm doing my photographs, and I'll even take them into Photoshop and change things. And if that is a problem too, like times if you give me a photograph and I change it, would that be a problem for you? But I would be more than happy if you want to sort of donate a painting, or I mean a photograph for us to all to paint, we'd love to try that. We'll probably do an animal soon too. I just did that dog one, and I got a couple of dog commissions, and so we could maybe do some dogs or cats, and let's see here. And so see how I'm doing the face now. I just did the mouth, did the eye, and the eye you always kind of do where the top part. Any eye that I do, I always do like a highlight on the top left, and then underneath, if the eye has color, I put opposite of where the highlight is. I put a little color there, and so it'll make it look kind of wet, and it'll give it the color, the eye some color. And let me think what else we got to do. A little bit more texture on him. I mean, he's a pretty textured creature, so I'm gonna put little dots like all over here. Little dots. I'm tapping. See how I'm tapping just to give him some texture around his eye. I mean, these guys have all these little round dots on these tortoise guys. They're awesome. I actually took a shot. This is not my shot. This again is from Unsplash or Pixel Bay or Pixels.com. I found this one, but I did take some shots of the turtle like this when I was down in Florida at the Flamingo Gardens in Fort Lauderdale. So if you want to get some shots, you can go down there and get those. Let's see what else we got here. We got the shell a little bit darker, a little bit more of these lines now. Remember I said before, there's a little bit of lines in there. And if you don't see it in the photograph and you don't see it exactly, make it up. That's okay. Who's gonna know? Maybe a turtle specialist who does nothing but turtles and tortoises, but most people will not know. Just go ahead and do it. I'm leaving this little white up here. Let's see, we'll put a little dark there because I had a little bit more paper. I ran out of paper, so I'll probably crop this down. You can do that too when you're crop. I can crop down the paper down to here. I don't have to put that all into the picture. It's okay. Everybody does it. Every artist does it. If they have, I just would not like to be short, so you can always crop things out afterwards too. That's fine. That's legal. Don't worry about it. Nobody's gonna arrest you. So we're going here. Let's do his arm right here. His arm is going to be really fun, going around all those little edges. And so I'm going to kind of come in here and just kind of. I know it's detailed, but this is pretty much a detail area right here, and that's where we're at this point because we did all the big stuff, and now we're just going to come in here and just kind of make this. This is like the whole area. I mean, it's a large area, but that's okay. A center of interest doesn't have to be a small area. It doesn't have to be, it just could be the whole area from here to here. It could be that whole area that's your center of interest, especially in still lifes because, it's not like you have a lot of distance here. This is maybe, 3 feet? So it's not like you're painting a lot of distance in this thing. All right, and doing these small little circles. And some of them, you'll see, they're almost like doing bricks. When you do bricks on a building, sometimes you got to do every single one. But then when you get them all drawn like this, round, then I'll show you. I'll make some of them a little bit more colorful, and I'll put some color in some of them, and some I'll even actually make the color in there different inside the light area. This is the dark area that I'm going around the lines that I had drawn with a pencil. And even the pencil line, leave it in there because the pencil line will give it like it's a line, so you don't even have to paint it sometimes. And there's no problem with that either. Just let the pencil line be there. Looks more original if you have the pencil line in there. Look at all those little carvings in there. That's nice. I love that. So now I'll go in and maybe get some little color in some of these round little things. Watch this. See, I'll put it on an edge and I'll just color some of them in with a little bit of color. Again, letting it float inside. Once you get things water in there, you can float some other colors in there. You can make some of the lines. I'm going to take some black now, some just solid black, just because some are not dark enough. So these lines are not dark enough. So what do? I take black and put them right on there, and that'll make them dark enough. Let me tell you. See how you just take that really nice and dark. If you want that dark to be colorful, then put some color in there too. Into the black, right into the black. You just go like there. And I know you probably never heard that before because a lot of teachers don't teach that, especially in school. They don't want their students, watercolor students, to be using black or white. And of course, I'm letting you all do that. So blame me when somebody asks you. Hey, Dennis. Hey, Mel. Hey, Sonia. The arms look super. Oh, thanks. We're going to crawl right off the paper. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, he's fun. Look at it. I mean, isn't it fun to do little animals and stuff, and they can get a little smirk on them. Look at that little smirk. He's like smiling there. I can even make the little round circles here. I'm gonna make it a little bit darker right here so that this will push back. And I'll put a little bit of this, what is in this hand and this one, but just not quite as contrasty. Contrasty meaning that I'm not using as much a light and dark contrast of value, not color. It's about the contrast of value. If I have a white against a really dark, it's going to pop forward, where this is going to stay back because the value contrast is not that big a change. Now, I didn't use really darks here to make the circles, and so it's still going to set back there a little bit, where this is really black against the light, and so that's going to definitely come popping forward. All right, keep on asking questions, guys. Let me hear your questions so I got something to talk about. So here we go. It can be about other paintings too that we have done before. No problem. Like I noticed that the Homer one we just did last week. You guys, again, a super job on that, man. I just was really shocked at how great you guys were doing on that one. And for those of you that are new and can't paint along at the same pace that I do, I have to tell you again that you don't have to paint at the same pace that I'm painting. You can stop the video, even a live video, you can stop it, and later on it'll just, when you get going or you reach that point again, then just get it going again. It'll still seem like it's live, but it's just going to be recorded. Because they're recording this and it'll be here forever and ever and ever. So just use it again and again and again. And these photographs that I usually get from unsplash.com. There's places where they're royalty-free images. And I do that because since that's the only place where I can find them. And so again, if you want to give us a picture to use, and if I use it, you gotta realize that you can't have it copywritten because we're gonna be using it. And it's really nice that they have a place like the unsplash.com, those kind of places that give royalty-free images, so that as a teacher, I can use some pretty nice images because imagery and what you're using is kind of important. How well you do your picture can be determined on how well you know the subject matter, and if you get a really good photograph of the subject matter, that's great. And that's what I always say: know your subject matter too. Know your turtles. If you know. Though if you don't know your turtles, make sure you get a good picture. That's what it is. You get a real nice picture of it. Let's see, you got a reflection in there to show you what I just did here. Kind of putting that in there. And I think we're getting very close. Let's see. What I'm going to do on this one, I'm going to do a little spatter. I feel a little spatter coming on here. Spattering is always fun. First, I'm going to get a little texture here with the side of my brush, just real lightly. It's almost like a dry brush. Just a little texture up here. A little bit of yellow orange. What time do we have here anyways? We got 7:20. So we got 10 minutes, but I think we're going to be almost pretty done. I'm going to do a little spattering. Lillian asks, could you put more colors in the shell? Just light use? Yeah, you could. Actually, I could probably put some more warm ones in there because he's so warm down here and there's not as much warmth there. So what I do to put colors on top of other colors is I wet it first with a brush, and just to show you, let me get my paper towel here. I really love having my cloth down or my towel down. So what I do is I take water, and let's say right over here, I just want to kind of go over it, I wet it, and you can see it's reflecting the light. So you can see actually where I'm wetting it. And nothing's gonna happen there, but then I'll take a little bit of like orange and I'll just float it right in there now. open it up so you can see what happens. I'm just floating it on top. So it's sitting on top of the paper and it's floating on top of the gray I had there. So I'll warm it up, but it's going to still look transparent. So the thing is, you have to wet it and just let it sit. And I've noticed that there's a little bit more yellow in this area, so how about a little bit of yellow in there? A little bit of yellow. Boy, this reflecting is really driving me crazy here. All right, so there's a little bit of that. And I think I want this a little bit darker to identify this as darker, like that's still the tortoise. And what else? Maybe a little bit more color in his face. And so I use my small brush, wet it first. When you put water on something, nothing happens. See what I just did? I put water on his face right there. Nothing happens if it's just clear water. That's when you take a little bit of something other color and just kind of tap it in there, and it'll just kind of bleed all in there, and it'll just do its own thing. It's not going to affect anything. You're just changing the color that way. And let's see, anything else? Maybe up on top here, I don't like how this is not like exactly looking like a turtle's shell, so I'm going to come in here and just identify it a little bit more. I'll have to ask my friend Jamie Lou, I mean, from Holbein, what the difference is between all the turtles. She actually has her own turtle, or tortoise, maybe. I'll see which one I should be saying. And so we're going to go a little darker here again to get a little bit more details. There's lines coming down here, so. All right. Oh, I said I was going to spatter, right? So let's show you how to spatter. Everybody knows how to spatter. You just take your brush and hit it against there, and let me just put this down flat. And brush it out of the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this area right here. Don't like that so much. A little more color in there. Go. That's a little bit better. You can always float. See, you can always float color on there. But since he's probably pretty dirty, I mean, they get pretty dirty in the mud when especially the ones I saw recently. I'm taking enough of water. See, I'm mixing on my palette, water, a lot of paint, and then I just tap it like this on my finger. I just go straight down, and I'm just gonna make little spatters, marks, and mix dots basically. It makes it messy, but don't worry about that. It's going to be just on your paper. If there's an area you don't want to have it go to, then take a paper towel and just kind of take the paper towel and leave it there, and that way it won't go on there. So see, it'll just go on the paper towel. I'm just kind of going in here, getting a little bit of texture. It's another way of getting texture. All right, let me see what it looks like without the paper towel now, or without the tape, I mean. Let's see how we did. And let me show you see how I did the spatter. It's just little dots here and there. It just makes it look more textury and fun. Let me take off the soft tape. I don't know if you ever saw my soft tape little video on how to use the Holbein soft tape. It's a great tape to use. It doesn't rip your paper, and it comes off nice and easy, and it repels the water. It's a great tape. You can get the soft tape from any, like Blix, I think, has it. And Vermont Art Supply has it. So let's see what we got here. So here we go. There is our tortoise for today. We'll call him Tom, right? Alrighty, so there we have it again, guys. And like I said before, give me some things to paint. Give me some things to paint. Tell me some things that you want to paint. Any other questions? And if you still have questions after this is over, put them in the comments section below the video, and I will still look at them, and they come to me in email form, and I will go and look at them, and I will answer them online through that. And I think that's it. I may want, after this is over, put a little bit more dark right there. I'm not sure. I have to look at it. It's also good sometimes to look at your work afterwards and keep it aside for a little bit and then come back to it. And let me go into my final scene here. Hold on. So we can end it. Hey guys, we're up in there out of the corner. So thanks again, guys. Thanks for coming by. And for until next Thursday, which I'm not sure what we're painting yet, but maybe a still life, maybe a what do we say else. So we'll see. Maybe waves. We'll see. So until next week, guys. We'll see you then. And tell your friends, please, and subscribe to my channel too. And